Good afternoon, everyone. We are live at lunch answering all of your immigration questions. We're here Tuesdays to Saturdays around the lunch hour, at least until Trump takes office. After that, it's anybody's guess. We are going to be busy as soon as Trump takes office. So we're trying to use this time. I'm working through my own anxiety and PTSD of the previous administration, working to prepare myself for what is to come, and using the time to feel like I'm being somewhat productive and helpful by providing information, coming on here, answering questions. Hablo español también, si quiere venir y hacerme preguntas en español, hablando de cómo se puede prepararse antes de que entre Trump. So 59 days, less than 2 months until Trump takes office. So what are you guys doing to prepare? How are you guys handling what is to come? The reality is that there are about 22 million people in America who will be directly impacted by Trump's changes in immigration that he has said he will make. Things that he did in the previous administration that we know he will do again, but even further, right? The promises that he's made to do mass deportations. And now people are coming and they're like, well, he's only going to deport the criminal ones. But according to them, they believe that anyone who entered either didn't have a visa when they entered, crossed the border that way, or overstayed their visa, that all of those people have broken laws and are considered criminal aliens. So we're not just talking about like that it works. So I'm on here to answer any questions that you might have. Estoy aquí para contestar preguntas sobre casos de inmigración, explicando mis recomendaciones que voy a estar haciendo sobre cómo estar preparados para cuando llega enero. And the hate comments are starting. I've been interested to watch as the final votes are being tabulated, and that actually Trump did not win the popular vote. Harris is currently ahead. We all know that that's how it works, right? It's not just a popular vote, it's the Electoral College as well. So I'm curious to see how the numbers finally shake out. I don't know why it makes me feel a little bit better, but yeah, it makes me feel a little bit better to know that less than half of Americans did not vote for him. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but that's how I feel. Rosie, thanks for the recommendation, the All In podcast interview talking about giving green cards to college, university. There are many ways for students to get green cards once they graduate. If they don't have any time here without unlawful status, whether it's, obviously there's through marriage, but I think Rosie's mentioning other ways as well, professional visas. Curious to see how those will be impacted. The whole professional visa process, I think, is a mess, in my opinion. We have a labor shortage, especially for many positions that require a bachelor's degree or master's degree. And so the H-1B is for that reason, to fill those gaps in employment that we have. But there's limitations on it. So currently only 65,000 can get it if they have a bachelor's degree, and an extra 20,000 if you have a master's degree. There's so many applicants though that they have to do a lottery every year. So last year they had over 400,000 people apply for the lottery. And, obviously they have that limitation on how many they can actually review and approve. So that whole system's a big mess too. Thanks for everybody who's coming in. Rosie, hopefully that will help with DACA. Yeah, there's DACA is going to be a really big issue under the next administration as well. I'm encouraging anybody with DACA, if you have other ways to get legal status through maybe marriage or through employment, that you begin now to be looking at those options. If you already talked to an attorney and they told you had options, but you've just been kind of like, hey, I'll get around to doing it, now's the time to take action on that. No more delays, you guys. Because we know that Trump ended the DACA program the first time around. And of course, there was a lawsuit against it, so he wasn't able to completely end it, but he did damage to the program. So now the only people who can have DACA are people who already had it, who are just renewing it every 2 years. He also wanted to reduce it to just a 1-year period, but that was finally overturned, so it went back to a 2-year period. But lots of chaos. Also impacted advanced parole, and people just in general were scared about leaving the country while he was in office. April, you want to apply for adjustment of status for your husband, but you're nervous about next year. I would apply now. Apply as soon as you can. We're definitely going to be seeing lots of changes, and make sure that you have an attorney that's representing you to make sure that your husband qualifies, that there aren't any concerns that there might be for denial. What we saw under the first administration was that anyone who was denied for any reason, even if it was some silly little reason like a mistake, those people were sent directly to a judge, and an immigration judge. And once you're in that process, that is called a process of deportation. So it starts the ball rolling towards potential deportation. So you want to avoid that, obviously. And the way to avoid that is making sure that whatever you're applying for is correct, that it's done right, and that you actually are eligible for it, right? Don't be applying for stuff. There's going to be, there's already a lot of fear. And with fear, people start to make irrational decisions. And so my goal on coming on here is to try to give good information so that people can know what next steps to take, and so they can make good decisions. My concern is that people might just say, well, I need some kind of status, so let me just file an asylum, even though I'm not eligible for it, even though I don't have a valid claim, or let me just get married really quick and file that. Those are options, but I want to make sure that people know and understand the consequences, for example, of filing a frivolous asylum application, or of a finding of marriage fraud, both for the immigrant and for the U.S. citizen. So making sure that people have information. The way to do that, the best way to do that, is to speak directly with an immigration attorney in their office. You can call us. We do a free process. Obviously, we can't handle the whole country, though. So I'm encouraging everyone, if you can't get a hold of us, or if you prefer somebody local, make sure that you're reaching out to somebody. Don't make these decisions on your own. Also, because as you're operating in fear and anxiety, our brains don't really function well when that's happening. So we need to make sure that we have someone helping us, supporting us, so that we know the right questions to ask, the right options to have. So Boogie, you definitely should be talking with an attorney. Hopefully that they helped you file that I-140 based on the national interest waiver being approved. The I-45 was denied because you have a pending asylum. So what are the chances of appeal? I would not appeal that before you talk to an attorney, because that could potentially be a waste of money, depending on, I would need to know more facts in order to give you information on that. So our phone number is 541-653-8899. Molina Immigration. We give a free discovery call process. Swims, you're trying to get to Czech Republic with your spouse, but it wouldn't be for a year. Can they close the borders? We don't know what Trump will do with the borders. I would more expect it to be closed for people coming in. So Czech Republic is pretty close to Ukraine and all of that over there. So you might want to, keep your eye on that. We don't know what's going to happen with Russia, with China. We could be heading towards World War III. Who knows? So I totally understand people that are interested in leaving the country. Unfortunately, I can't speak to that. I'm not a professional. I don't do immigration in that sense. I don't do immigration to other countries, just immigration to the U.S. Thanks, everybody. All these gifts. I'm still trying to learn TikTok. I don't really understand what all these gifts are, but I assume that it's something good. So thank you. What ethnicity am I? Great question. So I am, I should do one of those 23andMe, but based on what my parents tell me, it's some Irish, Scottish, Russian, something or other, French, maybe somewhere in there. So I'm like totally white, but I have a heart that's Latina. And I started learning Spanish when I was in high school, and I've been working with immigrants for the last 2.5 decades. And my husband is Mexican, and my daughter is half Mexican. So that's my ethnicity, I guess you could say. I'm American. And I think it's great because like I'm a mixture of many different things, and I speak, 2 languages. So that's really the beauty of America, is that we are supposed to be a melting pot. There's no official language here. So I hate it when people are like, speak English or go home. Like, no, English is not our official language. Fiteli, I'm sorry that you were assaulted 20 years ago. You didn't report it. Can you still report it and have a case? Probably not. But I would still encourage you, if that's your only option, to talk to an immigration attorney about possibly doing that. Usually when there's a U visa that's for victims of violent crimes like assaults, like you're talking about, those need to be, the police report needs to be filed pretty closely to when it actually happens. There's some exceptions, like if you were a child or incapacitated in some way, but I would definitely check in to see if that's an option for you. Okay, I think I just heard actually my 1:00 appointment walk in. So I'm sorry, guys. This is going to be even shorter than I anticipated it would be, but I will be back on Tuesday. Hopefully you guys all have a great weekend, and I'll see you then.